Okay, so that is the load density or load factor is 50%. So that was about yesterday's lecture. So today we are starting with the next topic, and that is types of hashing, right? So today we will see what are the different types of hashing and how we handle collision in those types of hashing, right? So we are on the screen, that is on slide 1, and we can see that we are in unit 1 hashing, and we are going to see the topic that is types of hashing. So let us go ahead and see what are the different types of hashing. So here you can see these are the contents that we will cover today. So initially we will see what are the types of hashing. We will see them individually, and then we'll see their difference also. So initially we will see what is open hashing and what is a closed hashing. So these are the two very basic types of hashings, that is open hashing and a closed hashing. After that we will see what are the collision resolution techniques, that is open addressing and separate sharing. Okay, so these are the contents that we will cover today. After that, let us start with the first type, and that is open hashing. So what is open hashing? So here, yesterday I told you that a hash table is a collection of locations, right? So when we map a key or value, so when we store a key or a value in a hash table, so how we store it? We pass that key or value to a hash function. Then hash function generates the address or index of a location. So if it is an array, so it generates the index of a particular location, and on that location we store that key or value, right? So this is how we can store multiple values, right, in a different locations. And we expect that hash function should generate unique index for each new key or value. So जो नया की और वैल्यू आएगा उसके लिए एक यूनिक लोकेशन, यूनिक एड्रेस उसने जनरेट करना चाहिए, किसने? हैश फंक्शन ने. Then we can say that hash function is a good hash function. Okay, so there are two properties of a good hash function, and that is what? First, it should generate a unique location, unique address for each a new key to be inserted in a hash table. And second, it should distribute the keys evenly. It should distribute the keys evenly in the hash table. So if there is a hash table of size 100, so we should not, or the hash function should not generate the locations of only like 0 to 40 or 0 to 50. It should distribute the keys evenly. Then that hash function is a good hash function, right? So one more thing here, when we are looking at open hashing, so this open hashing uses, or it uses a hash table, right? So here, one location of hash table can store many values. One location of a hash table here can store many values. So what does that mean? A bucket can store more than one key or value. A single bucket can store more than one key or value. So a single location of a hash table is a single bucket, and it can store more than one key or value, right? So if there is a collision, so how that collision will be handled? What is a collision? Like suppose there is a index 5. So for index 5, suppose I have a key or value that is 55. So 55 and table size is 10. So the formula or the hash function is what? Key mod table size. So if I process my key 55 by the function 55 mod 10. So what is the reminder? What is the reminder?
5.
5. 5, right? So 5 is the reminder. So that is 5 is the index generated by hash function where I can place 55. 55, राइट। सो मैंने 55 इंडेक्स 5 पे प्लेस कर दिया। उसके बाद आया न्यू की, दैट इज 345। सो 345 के लिए भी कौन सा इंडेक्स जनरेट करेगा वो, 345 मॉड 10। सो कितना इंडेक्स जनरेट होगा, अगेन 5।
5.
So yeah, but on index 5 there is already a value 55. So can we store another value on the same index? Yes, in case of open hashing. Why? Because open hashing allows to store more than one values in a single bucket or in a single location. So that is called as open hashing, right? So in case of collision, we can store another value having the same index or location. That is synonyms, right? Do you remember synonyms? Synonyms are the keys or values having
Same
the same,
location.
yeah, same location generated by hash function. So those number of keys or values, that is synonyms, in we can store in a same bucket or location. And this collision handling technique is called as separate chaining. This collision handling technique is called as separate chaining. So हम एक ही लोकेशन पे बहुत सारी वैल्यूज को स्टोर कर सकते हैं if all those values are having a same index or location generated by hash function, right? So that is, this collision handling is called as separate chaining. Okay, after that, अगर एक लोकेशन पे बहुत सारी वैल्यूज स्टोर हो सकती है तो टेबल फुल जल्दी होगा या लेट होगा, whether the table becomes full early or late.
Late.
Yeah, so it will take more time to get the table full. It will take more time to reach table full condition, because what we do when table becomes full, we do rehashing, or we increase the size of the table by double of its size. That means if the table is of size 10, we make it 20. Okay, if the table is of size 100, we make it 200. If the table is of size 1000 locations, we make it 2000. So when a table becomes full, we increase its size by double. Okay, so in case of open hashing, it takes more time to get the table full. Similarly, this open hashing allows multiple values to be stored in the same location or in the same bucket. So can we use array for this? No, we cannot use array. Why? Because we don't know how many values are going to be there in the one bucket. Because when values will come, we map those values to the hash table, right? Using hash function, but we don't know how much values each bucket will contain, right? So here we will have to use dynamic memory allocation, right? And that is linked list. Why not array? Because array location, अगर array का location है तो वहां पे हम एक लोकेशन में एक ही वैल्यू स्टोर कर सकते हैं। अगर हमें मल्टीपल वैल्यू स्टोर करनी है तो हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा, लिंक लिस्ट यूज करना पड़ेगा। वी विल हैव टू यूज लिंक लिस्ट so that one node will hold one value, then if another value comes for the same location, that is collision. So we will create new node and will store second value. If again third value comes for the same location, we will create new node, third node, and will store that third synonym key or value in the third node, right? So here in open hashing, we have to use linked list and we have to do dynamic memory allocation. तो यहाँ पे array का यूज नहीं है या फिर array का यूज यहाँ पे लेस है, तो इसके वजह से क्या होगा, as we are using linked list here, so linked list uses dynamic memory allocation, and that is why open hashing is slower. It will more time consuming, but that is a disadvantage. It uses dynamic memory allocation, it is slower, So that is a disadvantage. But what is the advantage of this? That advantage of open hashing is table takes more time to get full. Table will not get full easily. It will take more time. That is the advantage. Second advantage, collision is handled by storing multiple keys or values in the same bucket. We just have to append them one after the another, right? So that is the advantage. And what is the disadvantage? That it is little slower, because if there is a collision, then we have to create a memory allocation dynamically, create new node, then store that value, attach that node in a linked list, and so on. So it is little time consuming. It is what? Little time consuming. Okay. So this is open hashing. Now we'll see what is a closed hashing. Now closed hashing is completely opposite to this. Closed hashing is completely opposite to this. So what is the closed hashing? Open hashing allows you to that a single location can hold more than one values. Closed hashing can hold single key or value in a single location. That is, a bucket can store only one key or value. So it is completely opposite to open hashing. Now in case of collision, तो अगर यहाँ पे closed hashing में a single location, a single bucket can store a single value. It will not store multiple values. So what if collision occurs? What if collision occurs? That another value or synonym comes for the same location which is already occupied, by some another synonym. So what we will do? We have to store that another value or key in alternate bucket. We cannot store in the same bucket. Why? Because that bucket's capacity is only a single key or value. It cannot store multiple keys or value like it can store in open hashing, right? So closed hashing will allow a bucket to store a single value, a single key, right? So when there is a collision, we need to find another bucket which is empty, another location which is empty in the hash table to store a new key or a value, okay, which has encountered collision. जिस इंडेक्स के लिए, जिस लोकेशन के लिए उसका हैश की जनरेट हुआ था, वो लोकेशन क्या है? ऑलरेडी फिल्ड है. जैसे फॉर एन एग्जांपल, जैसे 55 हमने प्लेस किया ऑन इंडेक्स 5 इन अ टेबल ऑफ साइज 10, 55 mod 10. सो 5 लोकेशन पे गया 55. सो जब 345 आएगा तो लोकेशन 5 क्या है? फुल है, उसमें ऑलरेडी 55 है, एंड इट इज नॉट ओपन हैशिंग, इट्स अ क्लोज्ड हैशिंग. सो यहाँ पे हम मल्टीपल वैल्यूज जैसे 55 के बाद 345, उसके बाद 95 ऐसे स्टोर नहीं कर सकते. क्यों? बिकॉज हियर अ बकेट कैन स्टोर ओनली सिंगल वैल्यू. So where we will store 345 or 95? So we will have to find out another empty buckets in the hash table कि दूसरी कौन सी bucket है, दूसरा कौन सा location है जो empty है. वहां पे हम क्या करेंगे? On those locations we will store this 345 or 95. Understood the difference between open hashing and closed hashing, right? So in open hashing, the collision handling technique used is separate chaining, right? Why it is a chaining? Because we use a linked list. So one value in the bucket goes into one node, second values goes into second node, third values goes into third node. So in a single bucket we can store multiple values, right? So that is like a chain of values in a bucket. So that collision handling is what? Separate chaining. And in case of closed hashing, one bucket can store only one value. So the collision handling is what? By finding alternate empty bucket or location, and that is called as open addressing. that is called as open addressing, right? So here अगर एक बकेट एक ही वैल्यू स्टोर कर सकता है तो टेबल कैसे फुल होगा, जल्दी या बहुत टाइम लेगा फुल होने के लिए? Whether
Fast.
table gets full? Yeah, table will get full fast. Why? Because even if there are multiple buckets, but one bucket can store only a single key or value, right? So because of this reason, table will be full. Doesn't matter how much capacity it has, but it will get full fast, right? So that is a problem with closed hashing. Open hashing में क्या था? It was an advantage. Now in case of closed hashing, it is a disadvantage. It's a drawback, right? That table becomes full easily because one bucket cannot store more than one value. In open hashing, table gets full after a long time. It takes more time to get full because one bucket can store multiple keys or values having same hash key, okay, or location of the hash table, right? So another is, can we implement closed hashing using array? Yes. Why? Because a single array location can store single value. So it can be equal to a bucket. Single array location is equivalent to a bucket which can store single value. So we don't have to use linked list here. And that is why it is an advantage that this method of hashing is faster. This method of hashing is faster due to static memory allocation. This method of hashing, that is closed hashing, is faster than open hashing because closed hashing uses static memory allocation, that is array. So understood you the difference? So let us see the difference again. Closed hashing in a single location can hold single key or value. In open hashing, a location of hash table can hold many values. Now, in open hashing, a bucket can store more than one key or value. In closed hashing, a bucket can store only one key or value. Now, in case of collision, in open hashing, a single bucket can store multiple values, right, in the same bucket or location. So that is, it is easy to handle collision, and that is called as a separate chaining because we use linked list here. We create a chain of values to avoid collision or to handle collision, right? So this method of collision handling is called as separate chaining. Okay. In case of closed hashing, how we handle collision? We need to find another empty bucket or location because current bucket can only store single value which is already there. So this method is called as open addressing. Okay. So in case of closed hashing, collision are handled by open addressing, right? ये opposite है. Closed hashing में collision कैसे handle होता है? Open addressing से. And open hashing में separate chaining से, right? Now, in case of open hashing, table gets full early or late?
Early.
Late.
Yes, in open hashing, table takes more time to get full. And in closed hashing, table gets full early or
Early.
late?
Early.
Early, right? Easily it gets full because a bucket can store single value. Now, what is the implementation of closed hashing? Closed hashing can be implemented by array, that is static memory allocation, whereas open hashing can be implemented by using linked list because we want to store multiple values in a single bucket. And what is the advantage of open hashing? Table takes more time to get full, right? And second advantage is we can handle collision easily by storing multiple values having same location or same address by storing them in a single bucket. So those are the advantages. Now, what is the disadvantage of open hashing? It is more time consuming because it uses dynamic memory allocation, right? Now, what is the advantage of closed hashing? It uses static memory allocation, that is array. That is why it is faster. So जो open hashing का disadvantage है वो closed hashing का क्या है? Advantage, right? And जो open hashing का advantage है, that table takes more time to get full or a bucket can store multiple values, वो closed hashing का क्या है? Disadvantage. Because in closed hashing table gets full easily and a bucket cannot hold more than one values, right? So इस तरह से open hashing and closed hashing completely opposite है. Now, in case of open hashing, we handle collision by which method? In case of open hashing, we handle collision by which
separate
method?
chaining.
Separate chaining. And in case of closed hashing, we handle collision by which method?
Open addressing.
Yes, open addressing. So ये आपको याद रखना है. Closed hashing handle collision using open addressing. And what is open addressing? Finding an alternate location in the hash table because current location is already occupied. It is filled, right? That is open addressing. And what is the separate chaining? You don't have to find out another location. You can place the key in the same bucket because it has a capacity to store multiple values, right? That is separate chaining. So this is all about open hashing and closed hashing. And this diagram will help you to understand the collision resolution techniques. So यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं there are two types of collision resolution techniques. One is separate chaining and second is open addressing, right? So separate chaining कौन सी मेथड में यूज होती है? आपको अगर दिख रहा होगा स्क्रीन पे तो आप मुझे बताइए. Can you see? Separate chaining is used in which type of hashing?
Open hashing.
Open hashing. And open addressing is used in which type of hashing?
Close hashing.
Closed hashing, right? So ये open addressing is used in closed hashing. So open addressing means you have to find out alternative location because a single bucket can store a single value in case of collision. And in case of collision, in case of open hashing, a single bucket can store multiple values. So that is called as separate chaining, right? So this is clear to you that what is a separate chaining and why it is used in open hashing, and what is the open addressing collision resolution technique and why it is used in closed hashing. So separate chaining means you can have a chain of values or keys, right? So if there is a collision, there are multiple keys or values trying to for which the same index is generated or same location address is generated by the hash function. All those keys or values can be stored in a single bucket because a bucket has a capacity to store multiple values. So that is separate chaining. Okay. The collision resolution technique is separate chaining, and the type of hashing where bucket has capacity to store multiple values is open hashing, right? Similarly, closed hashing is a bucket which has a capacity to store only single value or single key or single record, that is closed hashing. And if there is a collision, that is handled by open addressing by finding alternate memory location or alternate bucket in the hash table which is empty. So जो empty bucket है वहां पे हम store कर सकते हैं. So open addressing के 3 types है. There are 3 types of open addressing, and that is linear probing, quadratic probing and double hashing. So मैं बाकी के आपको बाद में बताऊंगा. Linear probing का मैं बताता हूँ. So yesterday we have seen probe. What is probing? Yesterday we have seen a concept, probing. What is a probing?
Finding
can
an
check.
alternate location.
Right, very good. So probing means finding an alternative location whenever there is a collision in case of closed hashing. So a bucket already has a value and it cannot store more than one value. So there is a collision when second value comes. So that collision is handled by finding an alternative location. तो लीनियर प्रोबिंग क्या है? लीनियर प्रोबिंग मतलब आपको अगर इंडेक्स 5 के लिए, इंडेक्स नंबर 5 के लिए कोलिजन जनरेट हुआ, मतलब इंडेक्स 5 पे ऑलरेडी 55 है एंड उसके बाद 345 आया या फिर 95 आया, तो इंडेक्स नंबर 5 इज ऑलरेडी बिजी, इट इज ऑलरेडी फुल, तो आपको अल्टरनेट लोकेशन सर्च करना है. तो आप उसको कैसे करेंगे? लीनियरली करेंगे. मतलब whether if index 5 is full, check whether index 6 is empty. If index 6 is full, check whether index 7 is empty. If index 7 is full, check whether index 8 is empty. So you are checking sequentially, right? 345 has a hash key that is 5, which already has a value that is 55. So where to place 345? That is a collision. So how to handle this collision? Check if index 5 is busy, it is full, whether index 6 is free or empty. If index 6 is empty, empty, place 345 there. If it is not empty, check whether index 7 is empty, index 8 is empty, and so on. So we are checking sequentially in the locations of the hash table. So that method is called as linear probing. That method is called as linear probing. So here you can see the example of linear probing. Collision resolution by open addressing, right? So ये open addressing का type है, right? Open addressing जो closed hashing में use होता है. So यहाँ पे देखेंगे आप collision resolution by open addressing. So table का size कितना है? What is the table size? What is the table size?
7.
7, right? So the formula to place a key is key mod 7. ठीक है, अगर आपके पास कैलसी है तो निकाल के रखो, इतना मतलब कैलकुलेटर की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन इफ यू नीड तो वी हैव अ टेबल ऑफ साइज 7, राइट? सो अगर मुझे 50 प्लेस करना है, सो व्हाट इज द इंडेक्स फॉर 50? 50 mod 7 क्या आता है? 50 mod 7,
1.
right? 7 into 7 is 49 and remainder is 1. So for 50, index 1 is a hash key or hash location. So 50 is placed at index 1. Now 700, what is 700 mod 7? 700 mod 7.
0th index.
Yeah, it is 0. So 700 will be placed as at location 0. Now for 76 mod table size, that is 7. Remainder is 6, right? So it is placed at location 6. आप देख सकते हैं. So every key will be processed by hash function and then we'll get what? The index of the hash table जहाँ पे उसको place करना है. And what is the hash function? Key value जो place करनी है mod table size, and table size is 7. So after that there is 85. So 85 mod 7. 7 into 1 is 7, then 7 into 2 is 14, right? So
1.
yes, so 85 का इंडेक्स कितना आया 1, but on index 1 there is a already a value and that is 50. So this is what?
Collision.
Yes, this is collision. तो अभी ये collision है, तो हमने उसको कैसे हैंडल किया? By finding alternate empty location, alternate empty bucket in the hash table. बट कैसे फाइंड आउट की? सिक्वेंशियली, मतलब अगर 1 फुल है तो 2 एम्प्टी है क्या? यस, 2 is empty. So plus 85 at location 2. So this is called as linear probing because we are finding alternate location sequentially. Now next is to place 92. So 92 के लिए what is the hash key?
One.
Yes, it is again 1. Now again there is a collision. So how will do linear probing? If 1 is busy, check whether 2 is full. Yes, 2 is full. 3 is empty. Yes, 3 is empty. So plus 92 at location 3. This is how. Now after 92, I think we are placing 73. So what is the location for 73? It's location 3, right?
Yes, sir.
70, yeah, 73 mod 7. So location is 3, but 3 is already full. So there is a collision. So check whether 4 is empty. Yes, 4 is empty. So plus 73 at location 4. Now 101. So 101 mod 7. So 101 mod 7 is 3. 3 आता है क्या? Yes, which is already a busy location. 101 mod 7 कितना आता है? रिमाइंडर, इंडेक्स कितनी आती है? 3 आती है.
3.
3 आती है. ओके, सो 101 के लिए इंडेक्स आता है 3, but 3 is already full. So check 4 is empty. No, 4 is also not empty. Check whether 5 is empty. Yes, 5 is empty. So plus 101 at location 5, right? So in case of closed hashing, this is which type of hashing? Closed. Why closed? This type of hashing is a closed hashing. Why closed? Because one location cannot store more
Many
than
More than one keys.
Yes. One location cannot store more than one key or value. One location can store only one key or value. One bucket can store only one key or value. So when there is a collision, how we handle it? By finding alternate empty bucket or location. And if we are doing it sequentially, that is called as linear probing. So अभी हमने ये जो देखा एग्जाम्पल में, ये कौन सा था टाइप? Linear probing, which comes under ओपन एड्रेसिंग. सो ओपन एड्रेसिंग का पहला टाइप है लीनियर प्रोबिंग. अभी ये जो दूसरा टाइप है क्वाड्रेटिक एंड डबल हैशिंग, ये हम नेक्स्ट टाइम देखेंगे. अभी आपके लिए सिर्फ क्या है? लीनियर प्रोबिंग. क्वाड्रेटिक प्रोबिंग क्या है, डबल हैशिंग क्या है, ये भी क्या है? कोलिजन हैंडल करने की टेक्निक्स. तो हम देखेंगे बाद में. उसको देखने के पहले अभी हम देख लेते हैं सेपरेट चेनिंग, जो दूसरा पार्ट है. सो सेपरेट चेनिंग में क्या यूज होगा? लिंक लिस्ट, जहां पे a single bucket can store more than one values. So open addressing का हमने देखा and we handle the collision using linear probing, right? And open addressing is used in closed hashing where one bucket can store only one value or key. Now we'll see separate chaining. So see, in separate chaining, initially table size is 7, table is empty. Now 50 कहाँ पे जाएगा? On index 1, because 50 mod 7 कितना आता है? 1, right? So 50 गया 1 पे, 700 गया 0 पे. उसके बाद 85, what is the index for 85? 85 mod 7. What is the index for 85?
1.
1, right? So देखो 85 कैसे कनेक्ट हुआ है इंडेक्स 1 पे as a new node in a linked list. So here you can see a single bucket can store multiple values, right? So 85 जैसे हमने 85 ओपन एड्रेसिंग में कैसे प्लेस किया था, ऑन द नेक्स्ट एम्प्टी लोकेशन, जैसे ऑन द सेकंड लोकेशन, लेकिन यहाँ पे क्या है, सेपरेट चेनिंग में a single bucket can store multiple values, so it will remain on index 1 only. Okay, so here each bucket is a linked list. Each bucket is like a chain, is a linked list. It's a list of nodes, right? So after that 85, there is a 92. What is the 92 mod 7? mod 7. Index 1, right?
1.
Yes. So वो भी देखो 85 के आगे अटैच हो गया, right? See, index 1 पे अभी 50 है, 85 है, 92 है. So on a single location, in the single bucket, we are actually storing multiple values, right? So this is what separate chaining. And ये कहाँ पे यूज होती है separate chaining? Open hashing में कि
Open
closed
hashing.
Yes,
Open hashing.
open hashing में, right? अभी देखो 73 आया तो वो कहाँ पे गया, इंडेक्स 3 पे. उसके बाद 101 आया, so 101 mod 7 is again 3, so वो 73 के आगे अटैच हुआ, right? So you can see 76 आया तो वो गया इंडेक्स 6 पे, right? So even if there are multiple keys having the same hash key or index of the hash table, so we can store multiple values in the same bucket of the hash table or in the same location of the hash table by using separate chaining method. Separate chaining मतलब क्या, हर एक bucket, each bucket is acting like a chain. Each bucket is acting like a chain. So each bucket is like a linked list. Each bucket is like a linked list, right? So in case of open hashing, we use separate chaining to handle collision, where each bucket has a capacity to store multiple values. So each bucket acts like a chain, and that is implemented by using linked list. However, in case of open hashing, each bucket can store a single value. So whenever there is a collision, we have to find out alternative empty bucket or location of the hash table to store that value. And that is called as probing. And there are 3 types of probing: linear probing, quadratic probing, and double hashing. Linear probing, quadratic probing, and double hashing, right? So ये आपको डायग्राम जो है वो आपको याद रखनी है for collision resolution techniques. And one is separate chaining, which is used in open hashing, and another is open addressing, which is used in closed hashing. So open addressing means finding out alternate locations because one bucket can store single value or key. So there are 3 types of probing, that is linear, quadratic, and double hashing, right? So this is all about today's lecture. If you have any doubt related to the examples, related to the contents, you can ask. If you have any confusion between open hashing and closed hashing, if you have any confusion between collision resolution techniques, separate chaining, and open addressing, तो उनका थोड़ा confusion क्या है कि closed hashing में open addressing यूज होता है and open hashing में separate chaining. Okay, so थोड़ा आपको उसको contrast में याद रखना. तो contrast क्या है, closed hashing में कौन यूज होता है, open addressing, because closed hashing मतलब one bucket is closed after storing a single value. इस तरह से आप याद रख सकते हैं, a single bucket is closed after storing a single key or value. So to store another key or value in the same bucket is not possible. So find alternate bucket which is empty, and that is called as probing. So that is open addressing, right? And in case of open hashing, a bucket can store multiple values. That means a bucket can act like a chain of keys or values. So collision is handled by separate chaining. So इस तरह से आप याद रख सकते हैं. ओके, अगर मुझे भी याद रखना है तो मैं कैसे याद रखूंगा? लाइक दिस. ओके, so if you have any doubt you can ask. Otherwise, if you are okay, if you are satisfied, you can type present in the chat and then you can leave. Type present in the chat and then you can leave. Yes, Sneha, I will share the PPT on the group.